So this is my part three to on interracial relationships, and this is gonna kind of talk about Eve and her relationship with her millionaire boyfriend, or a husband. I don't know if they're married yet. I don't know, but this guy that she's with, and I know a lot of pro-blacks have called her a Negro Bed Wench because she talks about how this man tamed her ghetto mentality and made a housewife out of her. And I'll be honest, the relationship did used to bother me when I first heard about it, but I'll be on Tariq's side when I wouldn't label her a bedwench. I did see her interview, I think, with Breakfast Club that she did last year, where she talks about like in her interracial relationship and her blended family, and being a stepmom, and teaching white kids about Black Lives Matter and shit like that. I didn't have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem. The only thing that I didn't like from that interview was when she talked about taking her white stepkids to like the hood, and like watching like street violence. I felt like that was really unnecessary to do. I'm like, if you want your kids to see black life, show them black excellence, not some stupid shit that they can easily see on World Star Hip Hop or some shit like that. Take them to a historically black college, or a black Greek step show, or a museum or something. Take them to a black church. I mean, I just didn't like her. I forgot what she said um specifically, but I know it was like something that was like really stupid, where she was talking about take them to the hood, and I'm like, you know either you don't want to get no heat from millionaire kids lost in the hood, or that would be crazy. But I didn't find her relationship too offensive when I saw that interview. It was just like, hey, that's what she likes. Oh wait, there was one thing that I didn't like. That's the reason why I'm talking about this topic. I nearly forgot. Was she talks about how she met the dude, and how like I can't remember. I should have watched the video, but I'm just going off old memory. And she said something about they met at a store, I think, and he came up to her, and he was really shy and nerdy, and you know he came up to her, I think, and then somehow they just kind of started off a relationship, and this, that, and the third. And I always feel kind of jealous and envious that white men can be shy and nerdy, and they can be themselves. But I feel like if it was a black man who done the same thing, I feel like we're charged to the game, because it's expected for us to be, these it's expected for us to be, a ladies' man, or to, it's expected for us to be like that and stuff. And I think it's not really fair, and it's just too stereotypical for me to even um it's just too stereotypical. It's like we're expected to be these mandingos, already sexually active at the age of 12 or 11, and we're expected to know all these moves and do all this stuff. And I feel like that's why I didn't fit in with a lot of people when when I was in grade school. Even I would be in like middle school, sixth grade, and people are already talking about sex, and they already had it, and I'm like, wow, I'm already lost. And the way they talk to you is like, you know, you should have been knowing about this stuff. You should have been active. Like, what's wrong with you? And I feel like with white guys, the nerdiness and shyness is okay with them. And we notice this in a lot of superhero shows, white superhero comic books and TV shows, cartoons, or whatever. You know, Superman is a perfect example. You know, you see Clark Kent, and he's this shy guy. He keeps to himself. He stutters when he sees um I forgot his love interest name. Shit. But we see that. But he's kind of when he's Superman, he's a ladies' man, and he's doing all this great stuff. He knows what to say. He knows he has confidence in himself. He's fearless. And you see that with Spider-Man the same way. Especially with the 1960s version of Spider-Man. Peter Parker is this really nerdy guy. Really nerdy. Gets beat up, made fun of, picked on. Girls laugh at him for his clothes. But when he's Spider-Man, he's the ladies' man. He knows what to say. He's, his, masculinity truly shines. He says all the witty things, and that's the funny thing, like with Spider-Man, he's witty. That's kind of like what girls want. They like the humor, the wittiness, the clever puns, the humor. And even when I watch even with black superheroes, I don't notice the nerdiness. It's like I really can't name a black nerdy superhero other than Cyborg, but the thing with him is that he's not known for really, he's just known for being a sidekick, whether it's being an honorary member of the Justice League or being in the Teen Titans. We don't know him from like a standalone film or TV series or anything. And, we don't see him in relationships. I remember I was actually I read this in a black blog about cyborg sexuality, and somebody wrote something about like Cyborg being asexual, and he's like, with a lot of comic books, black superheroes are asexual, and they don't get. We don't see really like a black. I can't remember if that was in it, but I'm just putting my own interjection into saying that, we really don't see black superheroes loving each other, or we don't see that. Like, even though we will say like, well, there's Black Panther and Storm, we usually see like fan art of them kissing or ruling Africa, but it was never that relationship was never put into a TV series. And even though there is a Black Panther mini movie or whatever, a lot of people didn't see it. A lot of people didn't grow up watching it. That wasn't a classical production, and with the few black superheroes that were shown in the 90s, even with Blade, it's really just a loner. There are a lot of these black superheroes were either loners or they were vengeful, and we don't see the loving or charismatic or the human nature. Even with Spawn, Spawn was a badass motherfucker, and he was married, but it's like he had to lose all that, and then he's the superhero, and it's like we don't see that kind of persona of being yourself or being the nerdy black guy and being a superhero. There was no like a black version of Peter Parker, even though they are black Spider-Man. There are, or I think there's one. I don't know if is there one black Spider-Man? I think so, but anyways, we don't see that nerdiness with black superheroes, and we don't see that We don't see a black woman liking a nerdy black guy for himself, or the black nerdy guy proving his masculinity and saying that, hey, don't let these glasses fool you. I have powers. I can do things. I can protect you. I can do anything that any man can do. We don't get that imagery. I said, like, there is an invisibility within black nerds and media, and we're like in the gray area. And like in another video that I talked about, black nerds, like when we hear black women saying that, hey, niggas ain't shit, are they talking to us? But it's like we're in the gray area. They're too afraid to date us, or they're too afraid to befriend us. Like, especially in grade school. I mean, in college, they're more open to talk to you because there's a lot of diversity in, that personalities and interests that black women have. But I'll admit, I had a friend, she was black, and, I thought she was cool with me, but she told me, like, hey, there's certain, okay, let me back up. She was a good friend of mine, but she pissed me off because, she told me, like, hey, we can't go to the mall together because, I'm afraid of people seeing us together. And I'm like, she always made these excuses, and it's like, why does it matter? It doesn't, I don't, why are you worried about people thinking that we're going to be dating? It's like, just tell them we're not, or fool them in thinking you're dating somebody else. I mean, why are you so ashamed of me being around you in places that are so common? And, I haven't hung out with her ever since then. And, that angered me. Like, hey, it's like, yet again, black women expect you to be better than most guys, but it's like it's at the cost, or it's at the expense of them being attracted to you. Yeah, you can be a respectable, nice black guy, and have something going, but it ends up, it ends up being in the realm of, you're not good enough, or I don't want people to think that, I'm with you. You might hurt my credibility, you might hurt my blackness or my ego. But that's not to brush off all black women. I noticed that, I think she's just an airhead. I wouldn't really charge that, I would just charge it to the game or whatever. I wouldn't really broad stroke it and say, like, she's the reason why black women are like this. And, it's just I would just say it's like, a good bit may have that mentality. I mean, a good bit, but I think I've met more black women who, they don't really care about how I look or how I dress, and they're okay with it. So I think she's just kind of like a decent few, But anyways, even with shows that are not heroic, and you watch shows like you watch shows like Malcolm in the Middle, Med School Survival Guide, Everyone Hate Chris, and you tend to see this token, even in the new Power Rangers movie, you see this kind of defenseless black male who can't defend himself, and he's bullied. And even with the Bernie Mac show, this weak, defenseless black male, and he can't do anything. And yeah, even with Family Matters, yeah, I feel like that, like shows like that, they really did, I can really attest to it, to where, family shows like Family Matter and movies like Nutty Professor and Norbit, they did fuck me up because I was bullied for those shows because of those images and depictions. I will admit that. And I will admit, yeah, black women, I'm about to say black girls, because, that was me in high school, in middle school. They did look at me different because of it. But I would kind of charge it to the game of, this was in the early 2000s, and so street culture was very prevalent. It was all about being gangster and doing this and that, and going to jail was cool. In this era, people are kind of tired of the stereotypical messages, so there is a paradigm switch, and there is, black women looking for better men. So I would say that some women grow out of that mentality, some don't. Um, but yeah, those shows did hurt me a lot, and I can and see. I didn't want to agree with a lot of these black men who whine about black women not dating them because they're lames. I can only agree with you when it comes to grade school or your childhood, because yes, that image, that the bullying and the isolation was real, you know. But it's like nowadays, it's like if you're a grown ass man and you're like whining about women not liking you, it's like I have to say, dude, that's on you. There's way too many women out here, and there's a lot of black women growing out of that hood shit. And so if you can't find anyone, whether she's educated or not, that's on you. That's on you. Because I'm. But that's going to be another topic. But as I said before, if you've been bullied because of those images during I'll probably say during the 80s and to early 2000s, yeah, I can understand you that, yeah, it was hell for black guys like me in that time, because we weren't respected, we were made fun of, and we was always in the gray area of, they knew that we had things going on for ourselves, but they always fell for the same old, same old. They always fell for trying to change Raheem and telling Raheem that, I love you and I can forgive you. Just give yourself a chance, and I'll give you a chance and we'll do things right. Yeah. But so yeah, but going back to my point with Eve is that I have to make this into a part 4, because I don't want these videos going super long, so it will be a part 4.